This is another book, good book, The Gods of Mars. And actually, they made a movie from this book. They call it John Carter. The movie is called John Carter, but this book was written by Edgar Rice Burroughs. It was written back in the 1800s. And in the book is more different from the movie, because in the book, the gods of Mars that live in the core of Mars is actually black people. But in the movie, there's no black people, period. But in this book, black people is all throughout this book. There's also a yellow race in this book, but in the movie, they just got the green people and shit and the red-looking people, the Martians. But actually, according to this book, I'm going to go into this book right quick, a little bit more so than anything, because I don't like the way they lied and shit, but when they made that movie. In this book, John Carter, he was in a cave hiding from the Apaches. And he rolled out his body. He didn't even know he rolled out his body. So he heard something in there breathing. He didn't know what the fuck it was because it was nighttime. You gotta think they had no street lights and nothing. It was dark in that bitch. It was dark. All he had was moonlight outside and stars. So he didn't know what the hell the noise there was. But he wasn't finna come out that damn cave because of the Apaches. He knew they was gonna kill his ass. But he heard something breathing, but actually found out that it was his own body. He had rolled out his body. So he came out his body. Was like, wow, I can't believe that's my own damn body. So he walked out the cave after the Apaches had left. He was looking at a red star, his ass got sucked in it. Okay, so he winds up on Mars. Make a long story short, he ran into some green people, okay, and then he ran into, and the green people were plant-eating people. I mean, they was plant people. They'll suck your ass and suck the blood out your ass like vampires. But then he ran into these black people whom he said were all beautiful. They were strong. They was the most, they were, excellent warriors. They were very good at fighting. They were strong. They had their buckles on their shoes and shit was made out of diamonds. And he said once he went into the inner earth, the inner core, or like for instance would be our hollow earth, they also have a hollow Mars, and so they live inside of Mars. The Martians do. All these black people, and he was talking about the spaceships that they flew on. Now this shit written back in the 1800s. So I think there's some truth to it. And also the ruler that the surface dwellers prayed to was a lady called Isis the Eternal. But the black people knew that Isis was actually a human being. But see, the surface dweller thought she was some type of spook. Same thing it is on today. They think God is a spook. But actually Isis lived in the core of Mars, in the center. Inside of Mars, and she was an old, ugly-ass, snaggle-toothed woman with hardly no hair on her head. And guess what she did? She had the black people that were driving and navigating these spaceships to abduct the surface dwellers, the red people, the yellow people, and she would eat them. If this don't sound like some Illuminati type shit, well, these motherfuckers taking people underground, in their underground caverns. Listen to Arizona Wilder. Alright, and they eating goddamn people. And her ugly ass was doing the same shit in this book. Okay? And she was revered as something divine. Shit. And then you couldn't even look at her because they said, in the book, it said that the black people, when they finally got to John Carter, they took his ass, they made him, see, you're talking about the plant man. See, but they made him crawl backwards towards her so he couldn't see her, because they said if you looked at her, you would die. Meaning that was going to kill your ass. So he was not allowed to look at her. But later on, a whole bunch of chaos started. It was an uprising. He started an uprising that bitch, and he finally saw her ugly ass. So anyway, that's in that book. And they put shit in books because they have to tell the truth. It's a part of universal law. But they put it in books to hide that light from us.
Now he's making instruments to look at the civilization on Mars. Well, when he see what's on Mars, he won't see no mark of his. It's our Mars, our people, so God have taught me, and that he didn't know they was there until just a few days ago. He used to look at Mars and just call it a star, and that's all. But our fathers made it with some type of intelligent beings, like ourselves. They walk on 2 feet or hind. They are not animals. They are intelligent people. The marks that we see on Mars is not from an ignorant, silly, uncivilized person. They show signs of civilization. And they look something similar to us, not exactly, but they look similar. They walk on 2 feet, and they're not white folks. And teaches you that we of this planet, the black man is the first. Since we don't find no planet coming out with a super civilization over us. Tomorrow, people, they have civilization, but it's not equal with ours. So God has taught me. And not our equal. We are their superior. They are superior in trying to live long time over us. This is just because we got so much sense we're crazy. That's right. We know too much. And we're always experimenting to know more, learn more. These people, the nature teaches them to be satisfied with what they have been given by God, called nature. So they live, so God taught me, and the person of Master Farad Muhammad, 1,200 of our earth years. While we sit around here thinking we live in some time to get 50. That's right. We just live to get 50 years old. We think we have lived a long time. Exhausted the power of our thinking brains before ever that we get in the world good. Too fast. Having so much knowledge that we just exhaust our knowledge of seeking and testing that which we have, arrive at higher knowledge before ever we learn the higher places of wisdom and understanding. We are exhausting ourselves, racing with each other.
Our Savior Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, in case you didn't know, he had already made contact with life, human beings on the Mars, and had tapped in to the language of the people on Mars. He had photographed the people on Mars way before Viking 1 and Viking 2 landed on its surface in 1976. Why did he want us to know that he had made contact with the people on Mars? Because he said in this final confrontation against the enemy that he was calling on the planets and the civilizations on the other planets to aid him in this final battle against our enemy. So when you see Bush, NASA and the scientists keep shooting up their satellites and keep on these little secret missions probing into outer space, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said they're trying to get a landing base on the moon or on one of our nearby planets so that they can shoot back at the arsenal of what they believe is their destiny to come into a battle in the skies, and I'm referring to the Mother's Plane, the UFO phenomenon, which is the top secret of the United States government. And since 1976, they have been working secretly in the investigation of what they call alien civilizations in outer space. But they're just now telling us through the media of what they are planning to do. So let us wake up, brothers and sisters. We have a Savior in our midst.
They come here, no, and live in years and near near history here, really, and woman. And I was with him, brother, every day and night.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Every day and night. He was teaching me every day and night.
Yes, sir.
I get driving around over the country. You know, like with you know.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And I tell you, all that cartoon books is, yes, I did that. Because I was I didn't know. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right. Language of small. So you very fun. That taking pictures of you. Yes, sir. But that ruined their language. Yes, sir. All the time. Yes, sir. They don't know another. I went to heaven and learned the language first. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now that's look at this way. Yes, sir. He reached up in the sky, got big, strange. Yes, sir. On another planet. And ruined their language. Yes, sir. Then that's that picture. Yes, sir. Send that picture. Hopefully I have to get out. We'll be all. I ever came with you? And this is what I want. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When I met him, I looked at him and he, it just came to me like this, that this is the Son of Man that the Bible say that prophesied that will come in the last days of the world, and that I couldn't get that out of me. And I shook hands with him and I said to him, I say, you are the one that the Bible prophesies that will come at the end of the world under the name Son of Man and under the name the second coming of Jesus. And so he looked at me a little stern, and then he smiled and he put his head down to my beside my head and whispered in my ear and said these words. He said, yes, I am the one, but who knows that? But yourself. And be quiet. His mother, he says, was a white woman, and his father was a black man. It is time for divine intervention, because we cannot deal with the American white man's army and his science of modern warfare. We can't compete with it. So therefore, if we are dissatisfied, we have to take our dissatisfaction to one who can deal with him effectively, and that's God.